All right, so hi everyone. I am.
Hi, we're here.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
You look really pretty.
Thank you. You too. Look at those beautiful flowers.
Thank you. They're here.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and chatting with me. I
Thank
feel
you.
this is something that's long overdue because I've had such an amazing time getting to know you over the last few years. And I am so excited for all of the viewers to hear a different Sonal that I have experienced. Can you hear me? Is the connection good?
Oh, she's lagging a little bit. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. I can a little.
Oh, wait, hold
Um,
on. You can't hear me? What Wi-Fi
I
are
can
you
hear
on?
you,
Hold on
but
once.
you're there's a little. So we're just waiting for Sonal to fix her internet connection, and then we should be back. But there is some kind of lag in the connection. So okay. Yes, it is. What did you do?
I just switched to a different Wi-Fi because I have like three Wi-Fi devices thing, and so I was on something else. And if I
Uh,
go blank, it's because my phone just constantly rings and rings and rings and rings. So I'll cut back to you because I have to like sit there and hit decline, decline, decline.
is this what it is? Is this what it means to be a wedding planner?
The other day, I was telling someone that I was on 63 phone calls in one day. So, yes. So, whenever you try to get a hold of me and you only get my voicemail, it's because I'm on another call constantly. I'm on another call constantly.
I've figured that much out.
So funny. Where are you right now?
I'm in Jersey. I'm in my in-laws' place. We had to leave Manhattan because of COVID.
Yeah.
I'm now enjoying suburbia. I'm a soccer mom without taking my kids to soccer. So,
You're hysterical.
yeah.
Life,
But anyway,
life of a working mom, right?
right?
I got life.
Absolutely.
Seriously. How are the
Yeah.
kids?
They're doing good. They're enjoying time with their cousins, being, rowdy, playing in a paddle pool in the back.
I know,
It's,
right? The space is so nice to have.
I feel like summer has finally kicked in. Yeah. So let's see. We have a bunch of people tuning in, so I think we could, start chatting about
Sure.
some things. I have a drink. What you have?
What?
You have a drink?
Yes, I have a drink. It's a little
Okay,
bit of
awesome.
Tito's.
Nice. I love it.
A little
Okay.
bit of our Tito's. It's 6:30, so I'm good with my Tito's.
Keep it, girl. Good. Okay. So there's a lot of things that people um know about you, and most of it kind of revolves around the fact that you're a real badass wedding planner. You're
Really?
one of wedding planners in the world, and you get stuff done, right?
Yes, so.
And the person that I know is all of those things plus a really good friend. So I wanted to ask you some questions
Sure.
to get really deep and also have fun getting deep, get to know you a little bit better and share that with the world. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I really want to thank you for being here.
Thank
Um,
you for having
uh,
me. I'll admit, I'm a wee bit nervous because I don't go live and just talk about myself on live. So it's a little different because I'm the one that does the interviewing and putting people on the spot. So
yeah.
let's see how this goes.
And I think that's completely natural, but you just have to embrace it and be as honest and authentic as possible, and which where you will be because I know who you are. So awesome. So tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get into wedding planning?
My background is all in hospitality management. I went to school at the Ohio State University when I lived in the Midwest, and I grew up in a really, really small town in Ohio. And then I went to Ohio State. I majored in hospitality and restaurant management. I worked for Marriott. I worked for Starwood. And then when I moved to New York, I worked for some properties, but it just wasn't really my scene. because I just think I was trying to get used to the people here and things like that. Oops, she disappeared. I don't
Oops.
know why she disappeared.
Uh,
You kind of disappeared for a second. There you are. Um, but yeah, I mean, I got into it because honestly, my in the town that we grew up in, there was a couple of Indian people, and they had these weddings, and the weddings were so chaotic. And I'm like I like my time, and I like time management. So when you go someplace and you get there on time, but then like the bride and groom are like 3 hours late, it's a waste of your time. And then also it was a waste of money because let's say that they had 80 tables, right, for 800 people in this banquet room, and then like 40 tables are empty because they overestimated the number of people, and they're paying per head or per chair or whatever. So I had experiences like that going to Indian weddings, and I was like, oh, this is not fun. The food was cold, the music was not right, everything was late. You couldn't hear people's speeches, and I really, really was there like, I could put this event on in a much better way, especially with a hospitality background where we're very like corporate and by the book and have like a way to being able to do this.
yeah, I love that. Okay, so you something that's that when I found this out, I was really surprised. You're part North Indian and part South Indian.
Correct.
So how that plays into life. What parts of you are North Indianish? What parts of you are South Indianish?
Well, I mean, when I moved to the States when I was 8, I really, we lived, like I said, we lived in a very small town, and I never really, like, until I went to college, I didn't really know, like, the different types of Indian people. And my mom is from Bangalore, and my dad is Gujarati. And my dad was Jain, my mom's Catholic, and we just never paid attention to that. It's like these are your parents, and you live in this town, and you go to like Friday night football, and you do all of the small town activities. But then when I got to college, I remember like the first couple of days, this guy's name was like Rahul Kumar, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Punjabi. You must be Gujarati." And I'm like, "I guess so." And they're like, "But you're Jain." I'm like, "No, I'm Sonal. I'm not Jain. My name is Sonal," because I had no idea what that meant. And then I remember calling my dad, being like, "These people are asking me if I'm Jain. Like, what does that even mean?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you know." And especially since I'm vegetarian, they just
Yeah.
thought that because I'm vegetarian, I kind of follow these like religious things. I'm like, no, I'm just vegetarian to keep my dad company because he's like the only vegetarian that I know. So
Yeah.
just things like that when I entered college, I just found it to be really interesting because I was never exposed to that growing up.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, so can you think of any life-changing events that have given your life like a new perspective?
New perspective. I mean, obviously having a baby. Um, it's like when you don't have a kid, things kind of revolve around your schedule and how you want to do things, and just even like working life. I just worked all the time, and I still work all the time, but there is still like this little person that I have to make time for, and family and things like that. But I think that was definitely life changing. My father passing away 5 years ago, like had a tremendous effect on all of our family, but really more so me because my dad was like my biggest cheerleader, and just even having him not around to just answer like different questions is hard. I still get choked up about it, but I think that experience, like having to go through having a family member in the hospital and thinking that they're going to get better, and you know I'm a problem solver, so I can really solve any problem, and that's how you think and you feel. And I remember calling like all these brides of mine that were doctors, and it's so hard when you're in the medical, like when you're not in the medical field, like dealing with all this medical stuff, because to some of the doctors that were there, he's just another patient. But to me, he was my dad. And you're just like, okay, how do we fix this? How do we do this? How do we get him home? And it was like one of those things that I just don't like to fail, and just not having him come home and having it still is something that I don't really deal with well because, like I said, I like to solve problems and I like to make sure that everything ends on like some sort of a positive note. So that was definitely really life changing. And even now, like 5 years later, it's I always tell people I can't grasp the fact that my dad's not around. I just think he's someplace where I can't see him. And I
Yeah.
still have conversations with him, and I still am like, Dad, what would you do in this situation or this or that? Because it's hard when, you have parents that have been together their entire life, basically, and even just watching my mom not have that partner that she's had, and these people have moved continents, started new careers, like been through all these struggles together, and then all of a sudden to just spend that time by yourself, it just, as a daughter, I just feel like I have a lot of responsibilities to make sure my mom is really happy.
Yeah. I spoke to your
That's a tough
mom.
question.
I know it's really, I'm so sorry, about your dad. And I do think everything happens for a reason. Fully, I can see you that not knowing you, I can see you trying to solve it. It's out of your hand. It's something that's left you like destiny. You know,
Correct.
the powers that be. I'm sure
I think
there's.
those two things, something that's very positive and something that was, very negative. I think those two things have definitely changed a lot of, the person that I am. And I think also growing up in a really small town, and then I always wanted to kind of leave that small town and that small town mentality. And so every place I applied to, every college was like out of state, like UC Berkeley, UCLA, NYU, just to kind of be like, God, there's a whole world out there that I don't get to see being in this town. And then when I got into Ohio State, it was like I will never forget this. I opened the door to my math lecture, and there was like 980 kids, and I'm like, holy crap, like this is insane. And every class was like that. I think it conditioned me to be able to open up and talk to people and, kind of come out of your shell that you're in.
Yeah, that's great. So Ashley spoke to mom
Oh my God, you
about some.
spoke to my mom.
I just
Really?
researched you, so I spoke to your mom
Oh
and
my God.
a bunch
Okay,
of your friends.
like, what embarrassing stories did she tell you?
Will have to wait for them. So I spoke to a bunch of your friends too, and I asked them some questions. And I'm gonna ask you the same questions.
Oh God.
And if you don't get the answer right, whatever the answer was, my question, you have to take a shot.
So I have to answer your questions correctly, or I have to take a shot.
Yeah.
Okay, let me understand the rules properly first.
If you
Okay,
don't
go
understand,
ahead.
you have to take two shots. Okay, are
Okay,
you ready?
yes, I think so.
All right. So I asked your friend Barbie if you were a celebrity, if Sonal was a celebrity, which
God.
celebrity it would be. So what did Barbie say?
Oh God, this is hard. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be any celebrity. I mean, I really admire Kim Kardashian, so probably Kim Kardashian because I love the fact that she's a mom, she's a wife, she's a business, and I don't know how the heck she juggles all this stuff. But yeah,
The real.
probably her.
Yeah. Okay, close. Um,
Okay.
you have to take a shot because you got it wrong.
I want to know what she said now.
Priyanka Chopra, and she says
Oh,
Priyanka Chopra.
Priyanka Chopra.
Priyanka Chopra is not a badass, but she's beautiful and she's a boss lady, and she
Oh my
thinks
God,
that
that's so funny.
kind of
Okay.
resonates. So, okay, I asked your
Okay.
F Radhika,
Oh, gee.
what is the one
Okay.
thing that people don't know about Sonal? What did Radhika say?
I don't know. I think I'm pretty transparent. I have no idea how to answer these questions, honestly.
What Radhika thinks is something that people don't know about you?
Um,
Because
that
she
I like to
obviously,
go out. That I like to go out and party.
yes!
Okay.
Dude, yes!
I'm
You
like,
got
I
it!
thought everybody knew that. That's not like a secret.
Right. So you want to tell us about that?
I'm taking a shot, even though I can't the answer right. Oh, do I want to tell you about that? No, I just
Yeah. Like the one of the wildest, night outs and what made it
that was
really
with
fun.
you for my birthday when we all went out and we just I don't even know. Everybody else was in some other zone and I'm like, I don't know what everybody is on, but I am definitely not at that level yet. But no, I like to go out. The thing is that anybody in the event planning industry or anybody in the wedding industry, it's very stressful. We go to events on the weekends and we're away from our family. We work all week. We're away from our family on the weekend. So when it's time to cut loose, you just want to have a good time. I love to dance. I love to party it up. yes, I am in my 40s, so sometimes, that only lasts for so long. And
Well,
but so with
I mean,
someone like Radhika, I'm like always watching the sun come up, and so I'm like, okay, I still got it in me to go
that's
out and hang out.
one day after an event, she met up with you
Yes,
in the city, partied all night, went from New York City to Jersey City, partied in Jersey City, went to like Livingston, New
yes,
Jersey,
where she lives,
sun come up. So,
and we went to brunch that morning. That was after I worked like a 16-hour wedding. So
that
yeah,
hurts. So ready for the
it's
next
a great way to just let out some steam and be able to
sure.
regroup in a way and just be like, okay, knock that out of the ballpark. Now I can have a little bit of a relaxation time.
Yeah, for sure. So next one, I asked your mom, what was her most memorable memory from your childhood?
Oh gosh,
Can't
really?
guess what she said.
From my childhood, I mean, there's a
Like
lot, but
younger days.
from my younger days, probably like that I was like class president and vice president and stuff like that. I don't know.
Better than that.
Oh, better than that? I don't know. I don't know what she would have said. I don't know.
Shot, shot, no
Shot. Okay,
shot.
fine. I'll do a shot.
Okay. So she
These are
said
really hard questions. No, seriously, these are hard questions for me.
well, because you don't know what other people think of you.
What?
So,
What
no,
did my
it's
mom say?
harder. So your mom said um, that you got an A in an exam and you were really upset about it. So you looked at your paper, read everything up, and you cross-checked the answers. The answers were right. So you took the answers and your paper to the teacher and you
Yes, that's
said,
true.
I deserve A plus.
Yes, that's right. I've done that many a times, actually.
Oh God.
I'm like your classic overachiever ever since I was little, but yeah, that's true. I never like to get a B or an A minus or even an A. It's like I like to just get A pluses. A plus means you're perfect, like everything's perfect and you know what you're doing. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty funny. Okay,
that's pretty awesome. Goal to
no,
have.
I guess so. I mean, now that I think back on it, I was like, oh, why was I so rigid with myself? But then I think it also stems from making sure that things are perfect in a certain way. And I'm like a big taskmaster, and like
Yeah.
I have to like sometimes I have to turn my brain off and be like, okay, you don't always have to be so task oriented.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I know it sounds a little boring, but when you're in
Yeah.
the zone and you do all that all the time, then there's not a way that you know how to be different than that. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, you're so used to it. Yeah.
You're so used to it.
Yeah. And finally, I asked Jim what Sonal would do if money was not a criteria. Buy.
If you
What do you
ask
think?
Ginny if money wasn't a criteria, what would I buy?
Yeah.
Another Birkin bag? I don't know. Another house?
Shot! Take a shot. Take a
A
shot.
private jet? I don't know. How many guesses do I get?
Well, if Ginny's there, she can tell you.
Jenny?
You would get a villa in Italy.
Oh, yes. Okay, I forgot the villa in Italy. There's so many things on this list. I'm like, which one?
I want to
Pick the
see
most
that.
expensive one.
Yes, I would get a villa in Lake Como, which is like, it's on my to-do list.
Yeah. I like that. So that actually takes me to my next question, and I only have two more. Um, so what do you do to reward yourself when you've achieved what you were going out to achieve?
Oh, I like to buy myself nice things. I mean, I think
So
that self love is something that you have to give and to yourself, and I think that we're in an industry where we do so much for other people, which is great. That's part of the job. That's part of what brings me happiness is making sure these things come together for other people. But as a small reward, you have to be able to kind of do things for yourself, whether it's buying a new Dolce dress or another ring, a diamond ring, or like I just bought a house in Arizona. Like it's just these things that just make you feel like okay, you know what, all of this is worth it because I can have all of this. And
Yeah.
with the hard work comes these rewards
Yeah.
that really wouldn't be attainable if I didn't work so hard. So yeah,
Yeah.
things like that. Little things, little things that make me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then finally, it brings me to like a more social cause related question. What are two things you believe in and you believe causes that you've been working towards?
I mean, having a kid definitely sheds light on the fact that there's so many kids out there that either don't have parents, they're living in foster care, they're homeless. Like, you see this and you hear about it, and you can't imagine like a kid that doesn't have a proper education or doesn't have food to eat. Because, I mean, you're a mom, and part of like the minute you have this kid, you're just wired to make sure that they're okay and they're taken care of. And I think for me, anything having to do with kids is definitely something that I hold close to my heart. Like this year for my birthday, instead of having gifts, I'm just like, I want like to donate to the No Kid Hungry project, or Shanti Bhavan, which is in India. You just watch these stories, and the kids just go through so much, and they're so little, and it's like at no fault of their own, right? They're just so innocent, and it's at no fault of their own. And even the other day I was thinking about it, because Rain's always like, "Mommy, I want a sister. Mommy, I want a sister. Mommy, I want a brother." And I'm like, okay, I don't have time for this right now. But it really, at some point, I'm like, gosh, if you could change, if you could try and change someone's life with all the blessings that you have. And I know that this sounds really cheesy, but I was watching this Oprah show one day, and there was this kid. He was African American, and just amazingly gorgeous suit. He went to Harvard, and I'm like, who's this guy? And just his story, I mean, I don't even remember how old I was, but it just really touched me, because he was in foster care, and this American Caucasian couple like adopted him and never thought about him as being African American. They just thought about him as being a kid, and all the opportunities they gave him, and this kid went on to Harvard, and now he's a doctor. And like, you just hear stories like that, and you're like, gosh, if you could just help someone to be able to attain that, I mean, what better gift are you giving the world than something like that,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
even if it's like one person and you've made a difference in only that one person, I think that it's truly life changing for them. So anything having to do with kids, I'm huge on.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's motivates other people to donate. Well, thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
That's it. I'm done.
Do you
Okay,
want to?
I was sweating bullets for nothing, Priyanka. Thank you. I thought you were gonna like really ask me very difficult questions, but no, I know we hang out all the time, and it's very relaxed. And obviously with clients, I'm very different than the way I am with a lot of vendors, and being offline. And I think that sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, you just have this very business personality." I'm like, no, I'm kind of a chameleon. I know how to be business, and I know how to be friendly when I need to be, and I don't really try to cross those boundaries. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very important for a planner. You're hiring someone to troubleshoot for you all the time and make sure that nothing goes wrong. So let's stick with that, right? And then
yeah.
it's like,
No, I tell all my vendors that I'm friends with. I'm like, I'm friends with you. Off the wedding day, like Friday we can hang out, and Sunday we can hang out. Saturday, if you do something wrong, you're gonna get the other SJS events. And people have seen that, right? And people are like, wait, what just happened to her? And you've seen that. Other people have seen that, and they know that I go into this zone where I'm like, okay, I'm very laser focused, and you have to be, right? People are trusting you with not only just the like very special day that's never really going to be repeated, but there's just there's so much resources, and so many things that they've dreamed of their whole life, even if you're not the bride and groom, you're just the parents, or it's your kid getting married. And it's such a huge responsibility, and I never thought about it like that when I first started out. But now that the weddings are becoming like bigger and bigger, and the dollar amounts behind them, I'm just like, now this is crazy that I'm in charge of all of this. And you have to be laser focused. There's people like at events that are like, hey, let's go out on Friday night. We just got done with this and I'm like, no, I'm going to bed because I have to be up at 4. And you know what? You have to stay really focused when you're doing this, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining.
I know. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and I hope I get to see you soon. I know you live right down the street, but I haven't seen you since I've been back. So
Oh,
we have to try. We have to try, or at least do like the virtual thing with the
we
kids.
will, for sure. We'll do
Stay
more.
safe.
You too. Everyone,
Bye.
wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask. Bye.
Lots of
Bye.
bye bye.
Bye.